Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to Sportsbook Review's coverage of La Liga Primera. Can't see myself on the screen, Esteban, but I'm told we're live. So thank you everyone for joining us on this Monday afternoon in the United Kingdom. Just about the morning Eastern time. It's been a fascinating weekend in La Liga. We've seen Real Madrid at their usual position at the top of the table. Atletico Madrid still unbeaten, but as often is the case, drawing too many games and they trail Real Madrid by a couple of points. Barcelona playing tonight, they can close the gap a little bit if they get the job done. I'm delighted to have alongside me Ruairidh Barlow from La Liga Lowdown. Great podcast. Check it out on Spotify if you get the chance after this video. Pro handicapper Junior Browne, who's been absolutely killing it with his picks on La Liga so far. How did you find the weekend's action, Junior?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, it would have been a lot better if Benzema didn't get that late goal, but this is just part of the game. Can't cry over spilt milk. And Real Madrid have been doing that all season, so we can't necessarily say it's lucky. It actually kind of seems par for the course for them. Vinicius Jr. and Benzema both seem to be like cardiac kids these days. So 3-2, can't complain. As long as it's not a negative day, you won't hear any complaints from me.
Good stuff. Thanks, Junior. I think I was 2-2. Real Madrid did come in for me, but I had a really bad beat with the Real Betis game. Had them to win, and they were 2-1 up in the 97th minute. And the ref carried on playing injury time until Espanyol finally got that late equaliser after Betis had a man sent off, which was devastating. But we're still doing well overall on La Liga with our tips. Ruairidh, we haven't had you on for a couple of weeks. How have you found the La Liga action since you were last on? Is the table taking the sort of shape that you expected it to?
More or less, I have to say. I think it's been fun and boring at times. It's sort of really swung between 0-0s or, as you say, sort of 98th minute equalisers and winners. So you really don't know what you're getting from games in La Liga this season. But overall, I think most of these teams are more or less doing what people expected them to, with a few sort of anomalies.
Yeah, okay. That sounds about right. Thanks, Ruairidh. Hola Barca Man on the chat. Hello to Umar Mohammed. Hello, Ian Messina. Great to have you guys with us. We're going to start breaking down the games in just a second, but it's your daily reminder to please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way you'll know every time we're about to start filming about football. It's NFL season starting. We've got NBA starting soon. NHL before long. All sorts of sports that we cover over at sportsbookreview.com. And do head on over to that site once you finish watching this video to read more insight and analysis from our pro handicappers. Check out some sportsbook reviews. Use our free odds comparison tool to find the best prices on every single game. You can use our free betting calculators, join the forum, share best practice with like-minded fellow bettors. All sorts going on there. Hi there to Jojo Mofo. Okay, let's make a start with Getafe versus Atletico Madrid. Bit of a local derby between two teams here. As I said, Atletico have been drawing too many games as per usual, but they're still unbeaten, still very much making a strong start to the campaign, and lots of people still have Atleti as the favourites to regain the title this season. Do you think Getafe, who have had a terrible start to the season, Ruairidh, do you think they can get anything from this game, or is it going to be a sort of typical grinding out victory from Atleti?
I think you've set me up there to see if there is anything in this, but this has to go with the favourites. It has to go with Atleti. Getafe are in an absolute tailspin. They've scored 1 goal in 5 games, and they haven't really looked like scoring too many more. People have pointed out that Getafe haven't been sort of far apart in their games. They've only been a goal or two away. They've not been thumped too many times, but that game against Rayo Vallecano at the weekend, just everything seemed to go wrong for them, and it's hard to really see how that they could trouble this Atleti team because they don't have goals. They're not particularly defensively solid. And one thing in that Rayo Vallecano game that sort of really troubled me was the ease with which Oscar Trejo, who is a good midfielder, but he's not a world beater, sort of just roamed around and found space against Getafe in the midfield. And if you look at Atleti, they've got Griezmann, they've got Correa, they've got De Paul, they've got players who absolutely adore that sort of space that Trejo was occupying. So Atleti, for me, have to be heavy favourites to win this match.
Indeed, I would agree with you there. Well, I'm going for Atleti to win it. I've just got them straight to win it. They're 1.77 to get an away win here, which is about, I think, 1-132 in American odds. I can't understand why the odds are so good on Atleti, Junior, when you consider they're the champions, they're coming up against the team that are in the relegation zone, having lost all 5 games so far.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the comments always mention what's Junior doing on a soccer show. Why I'm used to seeing him on the NBA show. Well, if you watch the NBA show, you will know that I, on a regular basis, say I hate passing up a sale, and this qualifies. Atleti at -140 against a Getafe team that doesn't really create too many opportunities that I can see troubling Atleti. Now, against Rayo, they actually played much better than they had in their previous couple of matches, but they just were not able to capitalize. And I just think that against a team that's so solid defensively like Atleti, if they're not worried about you going the other way, you might see them, actually be adventurous for once and not concede the majority of possession and actually go for it. So I think this game is kind of set up for a 2-0, 3-0 Atleti victory. Obviously, it's never as simple as that. But, especially after drawing 0-0 to a very formidable Bilbao side, this seems like a get-right spot for me. So at this price, I'm all over Atleti.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Copy and paste. Well, we went over this at the start of the season, didn't we, Junior? But perhaps it bears repeating. You've spent much of your life watching soccer, betting on soccer for many years, and this is a sport that you're passionate about, right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the size of the market alone, allows for so much more profit. And again, I watch a ton of tennis, but do I invest my money on it? Not necessarily. There's certain sports where if you feel comfortable and you see certain advantages, you should definitely invest. But you do definitely need to know what you don't know. And yeah, when it comes to soccer, that does not qualify. I believe, anyways, I know what I'm doing. Only time will tell.
Yeah, don't bet on like the 2nd division in Kazakhstan when you're drunk on a Sunday. stick to what you know. Okay, next up we have Athletic Club versus Rayo Vallecano. And Junior, you had Athletic Club draw double chance at money at the weekend, and lo and behold, they got a draw with Atleti. So you must have been delighted to see that one come in. Do you think they can keep it going against Rayo, who have been in good form?
Yeah, Rayo actually have been in great form recently, and I think that would have gotten Atleti's attention. If you just look at the way that Rayo have played, they actually probably even should have an extra win there. I believe it was against Levante where they drew, and they probably were the better side in that game, if I'm not mistaken. But in this specific contest, I've actually gone with Bilbao -110 again. Just another sale at San Mames. If you're giving me Bilbao at -110, unless they're playing one of the top 6 sides, I'm taking that all day. I do believe that they have a lot more goals than them. Not to say they've been bad in front of a goal, but they certainly haven't been clinical. I believe they have 4 goals through 5 matches. And I think this is an opportunity for them against a Rayo side that has improved defensively compared to the first 2 matches, which were obviously against 2 of the better sides in the league. But they still do allow their opponents quality chances, and I think Bilbao have the players to be a bit more clinical, especially with their threat from set piece. I think Bilbao is good money here, so I've gone for them straight up to win at -110.
Sounds good, thanks. Ruairidh, I don't think you've got this one in your list of predictions, but are you leaning towards Athletic Bilbao, or are you a bit concerned about the form that Rayo have been in?
I think actually a double chance with Athletic is pretty good. A good idea to go with this one again, because I will go one further than Junior and say that I do think Athletic have been bad in front of goal, and I think if they'd been better, they would have beaten Atleti at the weekend. I compared it, I think, on Twitter to Marcelino, who's the Athletic manager. It's like he's playing with a golf handicap. He has to create double the amount of chances as everyone else to score the same amount of goals. Because as much as I love Iñaki Williams, and there's other players to love in that Bilbao side too, they do tend to miss some really good opportunities, and they're not flush with players who are going to rip open a defence. And so I think Iraola, who's a former Athletic player, who's the manager of Rayo Vallecano, he will have his side organised. He will know exactly what's coming from Athletic, and there's a chance they get a draw here. And Falcao at the other end is the complete opposite of that. He is clinical, and he will take a half chance if it comes to it. If he's on the pitch for sort of 45, 50 minutes, then that could really make a difference in this match. And so it's a tough one to call for me. I think it more or less comes down to Athletic and whether they can be clinical. But yeah, I think a draw or an Athletic win is a good shout here.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Yeah, I'm passing this one. Next up, we have Levante versus Celta de Vigo. Should be a cracking game. Both of the scorers come off in a lot of Levante games so far this season, and we all know what Celta are like going forwards. Lots of quality, but they concede far too many goals. They've conceded 10 goals in 5 matches already, and for that reason, they're languishing in the relegation zone with just 1 point thus far. We've all got a similar sort of take on this game. Ruairidh, you're expecting goals, aren't you?
Yep, over 2.5 goals for me, and both teams to score, because neither of these teams are particularly good at defending. They will give up golden opportunities, and although Celta have struggled a little bit more in front of goal than I think we expected, against Real Madrid you saw what they should be doing, which is scoring 2 or 3 goals a game. And against Cadiz at the weekend, although Cadiz did a good job of shutting them down, they still hit the bar, and we're very close to scoring another at the end there as well. And so Levante, who are terrible defensively and have brought in Skodjan Mustafi to fix their woes, which I think Arsenal fans will they'll have a chuckle at that. But Levante, yeah, they can't defend. They are still good going forward. They tend to go through streaks of being very poor and then getting like a run of very good results, but it appears they're on a streak of very poor results. And so I think there'll be goals galore in this one, and if there isn't, I will be pretty surprised.
Yeah, they were galvanised when the new manager came in last season, weren't they? But seemingly run out of steam a little bit. They weren't very good in possession at the weekend, but I mean, they just weren't clinical enough. They had a lot of the ball, creating chances, but you've got to stick it in the back of the net. Yeah, Junior, what are you going for in this one?
Yeah, I've actually gone for the over 2.5 goals myself as well. I think one of the problems that I see with Celta is, and just in my opinion, Renato Tapia just does not have enough help when it comes to defensive duties. Every other midfielder on the team, they're great going forward, but their work rate going the other way. He seems like he literally has to plug every single hole in that defense, and it's left him a bit exposed, which is why I've gone for the over, because Levante have goals in them. They can absolutely score goals, and as you guys rightfully mentioned, going the other way, it's not like they're their most solid defense in the league. So I just see goals coming here. I think the desperation from Celta's side will make this a wide open game, because Celta's certainly not going into this game to defend. That's not their MO, even regardless of the situation. And I think as desperate as they are, I expect goals from them, but I expect them to concede as well.
Yeah, so do I. That's why I've gone for both teams to score in this one. I agree with you. They're a funny team, Celta. They sort of leave 5 men in very advanced positions, and Tapia has to sweep in front of the entire back 4, which, often leaves him exposed and the team exposed. So
it always seems to me like Tapia is screaming at somebody. It's like he always looks like he's yelling at someone to get their asses back on defense. So I just feel like he's way too exposed.
Yeah, it's not good for his blood pressure. He needs to join a team like Atleti or something like that, where they love defending. So I'm going for both teams to score. Junior's going for over 2.5 goals. Rui's put them both together for more value, and he's going for both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. So there you have it. We're expecting an open and entertaining game in this one. Next up, we have Espanyol versus Alaves. Alaves at bottom of the table, 4 defeats out of 4 thus far. Not going well for Alaves at all. Whereas Espanyol, yes, they haven't won, but they've picked up 3 draws. They keep on going, don't they? They got that late equaliser against 10-man Betis at the weekend. Probably busted a few coupons in the process. How do you see this one panning out, Junior? Do you think Espanyol can keep the momentum going a little bit?
I don't really have much on this game. It's Espanyol or nothing for me. Nothing about Alaves. Pretty sure they don't have a goal from open play. The only goal I remember them scoring was a penalty, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas Espanyol, at least when I watch Espanyol, the work rate is there, the belief is there, the fight is there, and they've got goals in them. I don't know where the goals are coming from for Alaves. So I could really only look to Espanyol, especially at home. I'm just not investing in this game because these two sides have been anything but consistent so far. Well, sorry, Espanyol's effort has been consistent. Their getting results has been inconsistent.
Yeah, I've passed this one too. I think you have as well, Rory. But it does seem like a good opportunity for Espanyol to get their first win of the season. Are you leaning towards Espanyol?
I'd certainly lean towards them. I think if you want to make a case for Alaves, and there is a case to be made, this is a sort of corner dog game or a corner animal game in the sense that everyone thinks they're going to lose. They've no sort of momentum at all. They've been pretty hopeless, and that is sometimes when a team comes up and punches the other team in the mouth and comes away with 3 points. So there is obviously an opportunity. Like Junior says, I do worry about goals, and Joselu, who's Alaves' sort of premier front man, if you can keep him quiet, then you more or less shut Alaves down, and Espanyol will back themselves to do that. I think they have the players to do that, and equally going the other way, the players to capitalise on Alaves' mistakes. And Victor LaGuardia, who's the Alaves centre-half, said at the weekend, it feels like every detail is going against us at the moment. And the problem is that once a detail does go against Alaves, they don't seem to have either the mentality or the quality to sort of overcome that. And so, yeah, as soon as something goes wrong, they're in trouble, and you have to back Espanyol to be able to ride that out and win. So I think if you... I don't know how much value there is on Espanyol here, but if you really want to sort of increase your odds, maybe Espanyol to win and under 3.5 goals, because I think 2-1 is a sort of reasonable scoreline to see here. But yeah, Espanyol slight favourites, but I don't have any certain read on this game, I have to say.
Okay, thanks, Rory. Yeah, Espanyol priced at 1.85, which equates to -118 in American odds. So, yeah, throwing in under 3.5 goals would certainly get you a lot more value in that one. But we're all passing, and sometimes the best thing to do is just to pass. Next up, another big game, Sevilla taking on Valencia. Sevilla looking good for a top 4 position this season. They got top 4 last time around. 2 wins and 2 draws out of 4 games thus far actually leaves them a couple of points behind Valencia, who have really exceeded expectations this season. I mean, yes, they lost narrowly to Real Madrid at the weekend, but 3 wins and a draw from 4 matches before that. They're high flying in 3rd place. So we'll come back to you, Rory. Do you think Sevilla can beat a much improved Valencia team this season? Do you think they can get the win?
This is a really fun, interesting game because Valencia, as good as they had been, I think if we were coming into this game this weekend and it was Valencia at full strength facing this Sevilla and they'd had a week's rest, I would have backed them to actually get a decent result here. But Thierry Correa came off injured early doors. Jose Gaya, who's their captain, was ruled out already, and Carlos Soler, who's the sort of other captain, he also came off early doors against Real Madrid. And so you're missing 3 key players there. And you saw the effect of Real Madrid, the effort that they put into that game in the last 15 minutes was essentially where Real Madrid won it. And so they are going to be a little bit tired. Sevilla, on the other hand, I think they won't be particularly happy with their results so far. They won't be happy with how they played. So they maybe have a bit more of a point to prove. And I think it's a tough one to call. Sevilla, perhaps slight favourites, but this could just as easily be a draw because Jose Bordalas, for my money, has the most organised side in La Liga this season.
Yeah, he has done a terrific job. My concern with Valencia is, like you say, a bit of a lack of squad depth due to the players that they've sold in recent years and the lack of investment in the squad as the season wears on, especially at times like this where the fixture list gets congested. I fear they might drop a few points. Sevilla are pretty similar to Atleti in a lot of ways in that they are quite a controlled team, but they do draw a lot of games, which kind of leaves them coming unstuck a bit. But I think they might just scrape a win in this one as the game goes on. Valencia have been a good team for you so far this season, Junior, but I think maybe you're stepping off the Valencia train for this one.
Well, yes, just because Sevilla's looks so organized defensively, and it's only a matter of time before they start capitalizing on their opportunities on the other end. So. As much as I believe in Mr. Portales' ability to grind out a result, this is going to be a tough one for so many of the reasons I've already said. The squad depth for Valencia doesn't allow them to be missing any of their top players, especially Soler, who, if you're just looking at all the Spanish internationals right now, he's got to be one of the most informed players since the season started anyway. So. His effect on that team is it's really hard to even calculate what losing him would do to that squad. And listen, as much as I'm happy to see Guedes, start to live up to the standard that I expect his talent to show, he's not the most clinical player in the world. I'm not the biggest Maxi Gomez fan either. Not to say there's anything wrong with him as a player or anything, but to say that I believe that without Soler's influence, that's not going to hamper their ability to get goals, especially after the amount of running they did in that game yesterday. They covered a lot of ground. Guedes is running himself into the ground, most of their midfield as well. It's just not an ideal situation. It would have to be Sevilla or nothing. I do think the under has some value because I do think Bordalas is going to try and grind out a draw here.
Yeah, they just got a lot of strength in depth for me, Sevilla. Just had a quick little look at the chat, and Giovanni was going for the draw at half time, which sounds quite good. Yeah, it's in the second half that I can see Sevilla coming on strong. I've gone for Sevilla in under 4.5 goals as my tip. I can see Barcelona's got Sevilla in under 3.5 goals. So yeah, I can see 2-0, 2-1s of Sevilla, something like that in this game. Just due to the extra bodies and the little bit fresher legs, I think. Okay, next up we have Villareal versus Elche. And once again, Villareal have emerged as the draw kings of La Liga Primera. 4 draws out of 4 games so far. I think they drew more games than any other team last season as well. They certainly were on the most draws for the majority of the campaign. Just not particularly clinical in front of goal, Junior. What do you make of this one? Do you think they can finally get their first win of the season at home to Elche?
Perhaps, but I won't be betting on it. I'm going to tell you what the problem that I see with Villarreal, because I did invest in them in the first couple of weeks stubbornly and lost. The quality of their chances, they have one shot in the 6-yard box to start the season through the first 3 matches. That's just not really going to get it done. And they don't really get too many quality chances in the matches that I've seen. So until the chances start to become more regular, I'm not going to blindly just say, okay, well, they're going to turn on the switch because it seems like other teams in the league, I'm not going to say have figured them out. I think what the route I'm going to take is showing them more respect. And they're sitting back just a little bit more against them, and they're having a really hard time breaking them down. Now, I think the return of Parejo will definitely help with the chance creation and just a little bit more of a dynamic player in terms of a midfielder. But until I see them do it, I'm not ready to invest in them at these prices.
Yeah, that's fair enough. They're missing their star man in attack, aren't they? And they've been playing Dia, the new guy, instead of Paco Alcácer. What do you think about that, Ruairidh? Do you think Paco deserves to be starting in here, or is it fair enough that he's sitting on the bench? He hasn't been quite as clinical as Moreno over the past 18 months. What do you think is going wrong here for Unai Emery, and can he turn it around?
He can. I think, firstly, just addressing Paco Alcácer, he, he sort of had a really good run at the start of last season with Gerard Moreno, and they really clicked and looked like the partnership to score him a lot of goals. But after running into fitness issues, he's just never really quite found himself in the right sort of form or sharpness to play alongside Moreno in the starting lineup, and that's really hampered him. And then you've got Dia, who's come in, and okay, maybe he's not as clinical a finisher as Alcácer, but he does bring an absolute sort of raw physicality to him. He brings runs in behind. He's an intelligent enough player to sort of link with Moreno. Problem being Moreno at the moment is not out, so that really sort of scuppers the idea that they could break down this Elche defense. And yeah, the smart money would be on the draw here because Villarreal are facing a team which is even more defensive than Mallorca and sort of better organized for my money. I do think Villarreal have a good chance of winning this, though, I have to say. And for nothing else other than roulette logic, they've come up with 4 grey draws in a row. And so this time they're going to come up green eventually because they are still a good team. And Unai Emery will be well aware of this pressure because they've drawn a lot of games, even towards the end of last season. I think there was 3 or 4 per draws that they had. And so I think just on the basis of the quality that they have, they will feel the need to impose themselves on this game. They're at home, the crowd will be there, so there'll be a bit more sort of enthusiasm, hopefully zip about their play, which is what really scuppered them against Mallorca. And so I do think Villarreal can win this game, and I don't think they'll do it by many goals, but yeah, they are favourites to win this for me.
No, yeah, that sounds good. Thanks, Ruairidh. They've got to start winning sooner or later, haven't they? Snap's asking me what's my favourite league for picks. Well, it has to be the Premier League, but I've been actually loving Serie A so far this season, doing very well on Serie A. I think I'm about maybe a unit and a half down on La Liga, sort of treading water on Bundesliga. So we shall see. Hopefully this will be the midweek where we can get back into profit for La Liga. Junior's in good profit though, so Junior's keeping us all above water, which is good on this show. Okay, we have Real Madrid versus Mallorca. Wow, big game for Real Madrid. In fantastic form so far this season. 4 wins and a draw from 5 games, 15 goals scored. The great entertainers of Spanish football once more. Coming up against the Mallorca side that, yeah, they are pretty organised and disciplined, but they don't really travel particularly well, Ruairidh. And this just seems like a bit of an open goal for Real Madrid here. With the squad size that they've got, quick succession of games, they should be able to turn things around and get another win, don't you think?
Yeah, they should be able to. And I've gone sort of Real Madrid to win -1 here because Mallorca midweek, and you can talk about the squad depth of Real Madrid, but on the other hand, you've also got to consider that Mallorca are also playing more games than they're used to. They're not a team that's cut out or built necessarily for playing 2-3 times a week. And so, yeah, I think Real Madrid are fairly strong favourites. Benzema is just in frightening form. Like, I think he's got 11 goal contributions, goals and assists put together in the 5 opening league games, which is just crazy. It's Messi numbers. And so, yeah, you can't really bet against that.
What a hero he is. They should build a statue of Benzema outside the Bernabeu at some point. I know Ronaldo sort of ceased the headlines for many, many years, but Benzema unselfishly did what he needed to do, fitted into that system. And since Ronaldo's left, he's just established himself as the main man in attack. And what a player he is. Jojo Mofo's going for Rayo and over 2.5 goals. So am I, Jojo. You're reading my mind there. I think that's the way to play this one. Junior, have you got anything? I don't think you found anything that you particularly like the look of on this one. Do you think there's just not really the value there on Real Madrid?
Yeah, I just don't. It's the value, and I'm going to sound like a Real Madrid hater, but there is just an element of luck to what's going on with them that there has to be some variance where they regress back to the mean at some point. And if there's any team that can make them uncomfortable, it is Mallorca. Although I do agree with something Ruairidh said, the amount of energy Mallorca as a squad exert, pressing high and just chasing, you have to figure 2 games in the span of a couple of days compared to the Real Madrid squad depth is not an ideal situation for them. So this is just more of a pass for me.
Yeah, and I suppose the thing about Real Madrid is that they kind of have players that can break the press, don't they? You know, like players that carry the ball in midfield, dynamic wingers that can take on a man and charge forward. So, yeah, I think Real Madrid and over 2.5 goals. So I like that. I like that. Okay, next up, Granada versus Real Sociedad. And Granada do not have particularly good defence. They've only conceded 7 goals in 4 matches so far, but they're winless, and the goals they've conceded have been pretty sloppy. They're coming against a very sort of strong, organised Real Sociedad team that have got 10 points from their last 4 games. Come back to you on this one, Junior. How do you see this one developing?
Yeah, for me, it would have to be Sociedad or nothing. I actually probably will end up taking them, even though it's not an official show pick. I firmly believe that Granada has the worst defense in the league. If teams were a bit more clinical in some of the situations that I've seen against them, they would probably be officially the worst team in the league. Their back line seems so wide open in some of these games. It's hard to see any other result but Sociedad, especially with the form that Oyarzabal has been in. Isaac has looked pretty good. David Villa looks like he's starting to get into it now. Although Granada do have goals in them, the other Luis Suarez, he's scored some pretty good goals. And Carlos Bacca, whether he starts or comes off the bench, does offer an element that could trouble Sociedad a little bit. But Sociedad has been pretty organized themselves defensively, so I can only see this going one way. I'll probably get involved in this game, although I didn't make it an official show pick.
Yeah, it's a big name to live up to, isn't it, Luis Suarez? But he's been banging in the goals this season. What do you think on this one? Do you think home win if you had to lean anywhere, or away win, or perhaps draw? You can't split them.
I'd have to lean towards Junior's sort of line of thinking here, that Granada, I just wonder if Robert Moreno is trying to change a little bit too much too quickly, because they had such a good thing going with Diego Martinez. And we know that Robert Moreno, he's more or less sort of cut from the same cloth as Luis Enrique in terms of style, even if they don't get on anymore. But yeah, I just think their defense is too open. And Real Sociedad, if you look at the teams that they really struggle against, it is teams that are sat deep, that are very sort of dense in terms of players. And you saw that against Sevilla at the weekend. They really struggled to break them down, especially in the second half. And Granada are not that. And so if Real Sociedad can score, they're pretty solid defensively at the minute. They're not conceding goals. I think Granada, they do have the players to cause trouble to any team in this league. Like you say, Luis Suarez is a really good player, and they have a couple of others that can trouble you. But yeah, if you look at Real Sociedad, who are just so well coached and so well rounded in their approach, or maybe not even well rounded, but very convinced of their ideas, compared to a Granada that perhaps are still just working it out, I don't see a way that they can come away with a win here.
Okay, thanks. Felix is going both teams to score. Barcelona has Real Sociedad just to win outright, about 1.93. Suresh is going for a draw. You could go like Real Sociedad draw, double chance, and both teams to score or something like that. You probably get good odds if you shuffle that into a same game parlay. Okay, next up we have Osasuna versus Real Betis. Real Betis must be devastated by the nature of the points dropped at the weekend. Man suspended this time around. Do you think they can bounce back from that disappointment, Ruairidh, and get a result at Osasuna? They were playing pretty well.
I think this is a really tricky game for Betis. So as you say, they sort of went right to the end against Espanyol and couldn't get over the line. And I think the key to that was Canales. And as I said on the podcast that you referenced, this Real Betis team is as if they don't think their supporters deserve nice things, because they just have this habit of making really basic errors in key moments, or passing up a really golden opportunity to get points on the board. German Pizzella, who's really improved their defence, I think, he got sent off, so he'll be missing. Canales has only played 60, 65 minutes and doesn't seem to be able to complete 90 minutes. And that really changes the prospect of playing against them. And if you look at Osasuna, again, a team that is happy to bank themselves at the back, decent on the counter-attack, a couple of good target men, I think they will score. If you had to push me for a prediction, I think I'd go both teams to score in a draw. But this is no easy game for Betis, and I don't think Osasuna can count themselves as favourites either.
Score draw, I like it. Yeah, what a player Canales is, just terrific. They've got some fantastic individual talent in that Betis team, but bit of a shambles defensively. Junior, what do you have for this one, Junior?
Yeah, I've actually gone for both teams to score. That now, here's the thing that I agree with. I agree with Ruairidh that it's going to be a tough game in the sense that Osasuna is a very physical team, and they're also a very good counter-attacking team. And Betis is going to go forward because scoring goals is their MO. I feel like they actually have a very similar problem to Celta Vigo, which is Sergio Canales is not a defensive midfielder. Not to say he's a bad midfielder, but defending is not what he does best. And I think they're a little bit light in the defensive midfield department. Although I do think that I forget his name. You guys might be able to remind me that the Portuguese international
or William Carvalho.
Real Carvalho could obviously solve that issue. But I've gone for both teams to score because I do think Osasuna will have the opportunity, especially with their dangerous counterattack, to score. I think the way that the Sevilla team is built, their midfield is a little bit light physically, whereas Osasuna looks like they get stuck in. Their players are not afraid to fight, and I feel like teams like that do present a problem for this Betis side. So I just think that there's an opportunity for both teams to get a goal because there's just so many goals in this Betis side. The way that Juanmi is playing to start the season and the way he ended last season, he's been in form for a while now. Fekir looks like he's growing with every passing week. Canales has been in great form. There's just so many guys that can offer you goals. I figured both teams to score was the best value in this particular match.
Yeah, I like it. There's a lot of people agreeing with you in the chat there. Maybe the Betis need to go on a spending spree and maybe buy a Tapia from Celta Vigo, someone that's going to shout at them all, because they sometimes do need a rocket up them, don't they, when they're on the pitch? They're a bit slack when they're out of possession. Final game, it's going to be a difficult one to call, to be fair. We've got Cadiz versus Barcelona, and the nature of the scheduling means that Barcelona actually play tonight. So we've got to see really what happens in the Barcelona game that's taking place tonight against Granada. Then we'll have a more accurate picture of how this one's going to unfold. The odds will probably change considerably as well. We can sort of say what perhaps might happen with the current situation. We've got Barcelona as pretty heavy odds on favourites against Cadiz on the road. Without knowing what happens tonight, Junior, do you think that this is a game that Barcelona can go and win?
They should be able to, just because Cadiz going forward, they don't offer much. They have been able to nick some late goals. Which is a bit of a worry, but you would think that with the situation, listen, the way that Barcelona looked versus Bayern Munich, I know it's not La Liga, but that looked like rock bottom to me. I mentioned this, I think, on the previous show last week, that their body language just looked like a team full of defeated individuals who weren't really sure what's next. So the question is, are they going to fight for Koeman, or have they given up on him? I'm not really sure. If they don't get a convincing result against Granada, I'd be pretty worried because, let me rephrase that. Granada have what it takes to trouble them a little bit, but because their defense is so wide open, you have to figure Barcelona should be good for at least a good 2 or 3 goals. So that's actually a game that I definitely am interested in watching, just to see where the mentality of these players are at the moment. Are they going to fight for their coach, or is he a dead man walking, which he kind of appears to be, because you'd have to think he doesn't get a result in these 2 games. How many more chances is he really going to have?
No, not many. I mean, he's been dealt a pretty tough hand at Barcelona.
Sorry, Martin, not to interrupt you, his mouth is not helping the situation either. Some of his quotes are so outrageous. It's as if he has no sense he's not reading the temperature of the room. Let's just say that.
No, he's definitely not one to pull his punches, Ronald Koeman, and hasn't had the greatest managerial career, really. It was a bit of a surprise when he went to Barcelona in the first place, but he has been dealt a pretty tough hand there with all the players that they've had leaving. Not made the worst start to the domestic season, but yeah, that was men against boys stuff in the Champions League. Plus 105 I got on Bayern Munich to win that game. It's the easiest money I'll make all season long. We didn't ask you about the Barcelona game tonight, Ruairidh, because it was Matt on the show. Matt's going for a Barcelona win. Do you agree that Barcelona could, I mean, it's pretty short odds, but do you think Barcelona can pick up an emphatic win tonight, or do you think they might get a narrow victory, or how would you see that one going? And then can they keep the momentum going against Cadiz, if so?
I think it will be really interesting to see where the sort of mindset of these Barcelona players is tonight, because that was destitute on Tuesday, and Ronald Koeman saying it is what it is, this is all we've got, it was all we could aspire to, and then you see Club Bruges draw with PSG and all their players the next night. So yeah. I mean, that really to use a Spanish phrase, sort of painted his face and made a clown of him. But I do think they'll get a win against Granada tonight. I think, Granada, as we were saying beforehand, they've not really shown enough to say that they can necessarily win this game. And I think, looking at the Cadiz game, last time I was on when Levante drew with Real Madrid, I said if you're feeling dangerous and you feel like you've maybe got something to spare, that you don't mind losing, then perhaps this is the game you want to put your money in. I'd say under 2.5 goals, maybe Cadiz double chance is not a bad shout, because if we isolate Barcelona's offense and the goals that they've scored, a lot of that production has come from Memphis Depay. And if you look at each of those goals that Depay has scored, they all come in space. And when Depay is denied space, as he was against Bayern or against a sort of more packed-in defence, perhaps he won't quite have the same impact. And Cadiz are exactly the sort of team that will do that to him. Luke de Jong is not going to move people around and sort of distract from him. So that's not going to be of great help to Depay in the same way that perhaps Braithwaite does. And so, I think this is a really tricky game on the road against Cadiz. For me, I mean, Barcelona obviously have to be favourites because of the players they have, but they're missing Pedri. Their offense is really reduced to Depay, de Jong. There's the chance of Yusuf Demir or maybe Felipe Coutinho, but this has to be a really tough game for Koeman, and it could be, I mean, I don't want to foreshadow anything, but it could foreshadow the end of Koeman's spell at Barcelona if they lose that game.
Yeah, I wonder who they would get to replace him. I can't imagine it being Antonio Conte. It's a bit of a poison chalice, this Barcelona job right now. I remember the days not so long ago, Messi, Suarez, Neymar up front. Now they're in trouble with Martin Braithwaite, formerly of Middlesbrough, is out injured. What a sorry situation that is. Yeah, it's going to be Luke de Jong, isn't it? Luke de Jong, Memphis Depay, and Yusuf Demir, barely featured in the first team as a front three. How the mighty have fallen. That is a massive climb down from Suarez, Neymar and Messi. So, maybe they're going to get some wins here, but you can't imagine them banging in a ton of goals against these teams. Maybe it's going to be some low-scoring games and some messy games from Barcelona in the weeks ahead. But we shall see. All right, thanks, guys, for breaking all those games down with me. Esteban, could you please bring up the official picks and we'll read them out? Okay, so I'm up first. That means I'm going for Atleti at -132, straight up. I've got Real Madrid to win and over 2.5 goals at -125, which is 1.8 in decimal odds or 4 to 5 in fractional odds. People sometimes ask what these numbers mean. These are American odds. You can head on over to sportsbookreview.com and use our free odds converter if you would like. I'm going for Levante versus Celta, both teams to score at -115. And I've got Sevilla to win and under 4.5 goals at -110. Ruairidh, what are you going for?
Yeah, I've got Atleti at -1. That's +230, and I think you're That's probably the safest bet there is for me on my list. And then I've got Villareal to win and under 2.5 goals against Elche, because they are still struggling for goals, but I do think they'll get over the line. On the opposite side of that is Levante Celta, both teams to score and over 2.5, and that is again a game where there will be goals for me, and I can't see it staying at sort of 1-1 or 1-0. And then Real Madrid -1, again, fairly safe bet against Mallorca. They have to be heavy favourites for that game, -125, sorry.
Thanks, Ruairidh. Junior, what are you going for?
Yeah, I've got Bilbao. I think they I'm not going to say they're goal duck, but I think they get a couple of goals in this game. They've had quality chances, just not able to finish, like Ruairidh mentioned. Atletico, I think, is the safest bet of the weekend, in my opinion. Levante Celta, two teams that don't defend all that well and are pretty good going forward. So I do see goals in that game. And Osasuna Betis. I think Osasuna's physicality will trouble Betis somewhat, but Betis do have a ton of goals in them, so I've gone for both teams to score.
Thanks, Ruairidh. Thanks, Junior. Thanks, Esteban. It's up. So we're all going for Atletico to win, and we're all going for goals of some sort in that Levante versus Celta game. So those are the matches that we like the most of this midweek round of fixtures. Thanks everyone for watching on. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for all the tips that you've been providing in the chat. Give us a thumbs up on your way out, please, and subscribe to the channel. Head on over to sportsbookreview.com for some picks and some insight from our handicappers over there. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.